Music, art, dance, and of course, food. The 16th Annual Folk Festival has taken over the city of Bangor, and the celebration is about to be in full swing. Hello, everybody. I am Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Amanda Hill. We came to the Queen City for the sights and sounds of one of the biggest festivals for this community. How great is this?
This, first of all, is a beautiful day. It's
right.
a tremendous setup. If you've never been here before and you're coming, you're going to absolutely love it. If you're not planning to come, change your mind and come. We're going to show you the sights and the sounds, and we'll probably taste some of the food too over the next half hour, and we're going to get some live sneak peeks at some of the musical guests that we'll be having throughout the weekend here as well.
Yeah, so this year's festival is today, Saturday, and Sunday. There are 16 performers across 4 stages with 65 vendors. Since its inception, it's contributed hundreds of millions of dollars to the local economy. That's always really nice for them. And with more than 60,000 people descending on the city, the local police and state troopers obviously keeping a careful eye on security.
Yeah, Chris Costa spoke with the Bangor Police Department today, and Chris, they're kind of used to handling crowds of this size at this point, aren't they?
Yeah, Lee and Amanda, that's right. I spoke with Lieutenant Robert Bishop earlier today. He told me that it is all hands on deck for the police officers in his department. They will run most of the operations out of this mobile command center. It's used by both police and the fire department to handle any issues that pop up on site. Now, Lieutenant Bishop would not tell us specifically how many officers are on duty tonight or over the course of the weekend, but he did say that starting at 10 o'clock in the morning, the patrols and crews double to make sure everybody stays safe. Police say they've also had to take into account the recent events all over the world and in Charlottesville, Virginia, where people have driven cars into large crowds. Bishop says, unfortunately, it's something they have to prepare for.
We barricade the area because we don't want vehicular traffic through it. And that's always worked well for us in the past. And that is always discussed in any planning meeting. It's a much different world now.
Now, they also have the Penobscot County Sheriff's Office and Maine State Police headquartered here in Bangor that they can tap into if needed. They also plan to have a separate unit of police officers on the waterfront, both in plainclothes and in uniforms, as well as the Coast Guard Auxiliary Patrol in the water. And they always ask anybody who sees anything suspicious to give them a call. Lee and Amanda?
Always great advice for
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, beautiful, beautiful weather.
And to Keith the credit, because this is going to be the weekend for this festival. Gorgeous.
Yeah, really perfect in a lot of ways, one of which is it's not too hot, right? So a couple mornings here might scare a few people into feeling like fall is already here. But I think for these purposes, it's really nice. Let's have a look at the satellite out there, and it's pretty clean. We got a couple of poofy clouds here. We were talking earlier, Amanda and I, about how the difference between the sun and just it going behind the clouds this time of the day, this time of the year is pretty drastic. But there we are with the cloud cover staying mainly over northern Maine at the moment. Temperatures are going to continue to drop tonight. In the 70s in a lot of spots for highs today, but they're going to drop down into the 50s and a lot of 40s tonight. A place like Berlin, New Hampshire is probably going to end up around between 39 and 42. And as soon as you start talking about 30s there, it's not scary, but it's a reality check for sure.
Yeah.
Overall, high pressure though in place for the weekend, so really Saturday and Sunday look very similar to today, which is partly cloudy and right around 70 or so.
Well, it sounds perfect, right? So if you're coming out to the festival this weekend, you can enjoy the gorgeous weather. You can also enjoy some really beautiful artwork.
Right. There is one volunteer though who really won't have much time for that. Barbara Peter is lovingly called the Ice Queen, and we will explain why coming up. Before we go to break though, we are joined by some of the weekend's performers. We have 13-year-old Samantha and 12-year-old Kaylin, and you're throat singers, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, what does that mean?
Throat singing is a game between 2 women or girls. Whoever laughs or messes up first loses. And women would do, or girls would do throat singing to keep themselves busy and have fun when the men were hunting.
So you have, you're 12 and 13. So do you sing Taylor Swift? Do you sing Katy Perry? Or do you just throat sing? Like, what's going on here? No, you don't sing other songs?
We're not good at singing. We're not good at just regular singing. No, none
Regular
at all.
singing It's overrated.
What got you two into this?
Well, we want to throat sing because bringing back our culture, because back in residential schools, throat singing was banned, and now we're proud to be bringing back our culture because our culture was going lost, like it was going to be lost, and then when it wasn't banned anymore, we're trying to make it pop again.
You guys are from Canada, so when you do this, do people look at you and say, okay, what's going on over there? Do you have to explain it to people, or do they get it, or?
Sometimes they get it, sometimes you have to explain it because, like, I don't know. But sometimes just some people don't understand. Some people don't know about Inuit, so we had to explain everything and then how throat singing works and everything. Sometimes people just know about throat singing.
All right, can we get a little preview?
We need a sample.
So the song we'll be doing is called The Polar Bear and the Wolf. This kind of story behind the song is that a polar bear and the wolf were fighting, and this is the imitations of their sounds.
That was awesome.
Very good. That was
So
cool.
does that mean that you win?
Kaylin always wins.
All right, you guys.
You have to let her, I guess.
No, I'm older.
I'm confused.
All right, you guys are performing this weekend again, and so everybody will be excited to see you guys up on the stage, right? Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. News Center Now from the Folk Festival in the Queen City returns after the break.
All right, welcome back to the Bangor waterfront. Here we are at the American Folk Festival, but to be clear, this is not just folk music. We have performers from all over the country and from like Jamaica, Haiti.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable. Zach Blanchard standing by at the main stage where organizers are calling this year's event the most diverse one they've ever had. Hey, Zach.
Hey, Lee and Amanda, that's right. As you can see, there's this group here behind me already warming up this evening, and some crowds already sneaking in nice and early. And that's right, they are calling it the most diverse year yet. A total of 3 days, 16 performers, more than 65 vendors. And I just want to run through this because they're calling it an international block party. So let's run through the list. You're talking Louisiana, Florida, Virginia, California, Maine, New York, Texas, Maryland, North Carolina, Tennessee, Quebec, Ontario, Nova Scotia, Jamaica, and Haiti. And that's quite a large sampling from all over the country and beyond. As you can see, quite a long list there. But it's not just geographical location, it's also just plain old cultural diversity. You have everything from folk music to gypsy jazz, including some French music, and then some groups that just mix it all together and really just make some unique music here on the Bangor waterfront. And organizers say that's what makes this festival so unique. And as you can hear, there's a unique group just playing right now for a sound check, and we'll want to stay here throughout the night, Lee and Amanda.
All right, Zach, thank you very much. You can hear that kind of off in the distance, and I love to hear it up that close. So we are joined by some people who know a few things about the festival here. Deb Carrier with us. Deb is the president of the Bangor Chamber of Commerce, and Carrie's from the Bangor Convention and Visitors Bureau. You guys have been involved with the festival for a while now. What makes this event so special every year?
Oh my gosh, every year it's a new experience. Every year there are new performers, there are new vendors. There's just so much happening, and people come back year after year after year. Running the Chamber of Commerce, we've been getting calls for the past several months. People are so excited about coming to Bangor for this festival from all over the country, all over the world, starting to book their rooms and getting excited about it. So it's always a new experience every single year. It's great.
That said, if someone has been to this festival in the past, safe to say they have not seen it all.
No, there's no way they even came close to seeing it all. I've been doing this year over year over year. I've been involved since year one, as has Deb. And I have to say that every year I see something new, every year I learn something new. And this year, actually, the festival was put on the Condé Nast Must-Do Festivals of 2017.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter. If you've not been here before, come experience it. If you've been here before, you're still going to learn and play and have fun.
So this probably comes together overnight, right? I mean, there's not a lot of not a lot of planning. You just woke up yesterday and said, hey, what do you want to do this weekend? I mean, how much planning goes into something as big as this?
Oh gosh, well there's an amazing staff who works, actually, for the day after this festival wraps up, they'll be working on next year. I mean, it's a year-round workload, and they're passionate and committed to it, but they can't do it without a whole lot of volunteers who, again, work on this year long to bring this today. We're here today. It's happening. So, yeah, it's a year-round, and the Convention Visitors Bureau is involved all year long. And then there are hundreds of volunteers, not only throughout the course of the year putting this together, but here this weekend making this happen. So it really is a community event.
All right, Deb, Carrie, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck this weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Speaking of volunteers, we're meeting one next who keeps things cool and collected around here.
Really, it's just their loving way of referring to me, where I go around with all of the ice, usually with a smile on my face.
It's the Bangor Folk Festival Ice Queen, and we mean that in the best way possible.
And we're set to have a week of wonderful weather, but families down on the Gulf Coast are preparing for the worst. Keith Carson has our forecast, as well as a look at Hurricane Harvey's path. That's coming up next on Now. All right, welcome back, everybody. So the festival runs on volunteers, and so many of them were running around all day long trying to get things set up, and they will continue to be running around all weekend long.
It's a busy weekend for them. One of those volunteers, Barbara St. Peter, we actually hung out with her today. She's a teacher by trade, but she's been volunteering for years. In fact, in 2005, she was one of our Teens Who Care award winners. So she's been doing great work for a while. Her job here is simple, but it takes a lot of work.
The people that I work with are like, you know, the family that you get to see at the end of the summer.
She's known endearingly as the Ice Queen, but don't let that title or tiara fool you. She's one of the friendliest volunteers here.
Oh, she's got a tiara.
It's kind of like, you know, in whatever Pirates of the Caribbean movie, the part of the ship, part of the crew. It's kind of like that.
And this crew stays busy.
I deliver ice and water to the backstage of all of the stages here on site, as well as volunteer areas, so the vending tents and the most populated areas of volunteers.
A very important role, especially when the sun is blazing.
The weekend is very crazy for me. I make it so that the Lady Betty who runs operations will radio me at around lunchtime to see if I've actually eaten for the day. I'm right out straight from about 8 a.m. to 11:30.
This crown hasn't always ruled this kingdom.
There was Ice Princess for a little while, I think. My first year in the leader role, I think, was the princess year, and then they were like, okay, she can cut it, so she can be the queen now.
She even has her own carriage.
When it was really busy, I would just pull the trailer around behind me, but I accidentally popped the tire a couple of times on the trailer, so they got me this big beefy thing so I wouldn't ruin things anymore.
Helping to keep her kingdom properly hydrated. How much ice and water do you need to go through?
That is a great question. One that I do not have the answer to. Perhaps an iceberg.
Probably an iceberg, it's fair to say. It's fair to say. By the way, we are joined now by Judy Horan.
She's the boss.
Lovely and talented
in case you're
boss.
wondering.
Yes, she's the boss.
And she brought food, so she's allowed to stay.
Yeah,
so that's pretty much how it works.
Popular too, right?
Well, you're popular right now.
Right. We talked about how diverse this festival is, and of course we've got the fair food, the bloomin' onion.
Yep.
We have corn patties from Colombia.
And they're called kachumtaha.
Yes.
And then we have some type of Cajun chicken, carrot, potato thing going on here. So.
And there's lots of main food. There's you won't be able to leave here without finding something you want to eat.
And she's buying, so everybody, you're all welcome. Come on down. Tell them Judy sent you.
Lee, you know I'm going to expense this. Come on.
Yeah, that is true.
She knows too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and oh by the way, Keith's here with the weather, but whatever. We're gonna eat. You do what you do.
What do with it?
Yeah, do I have enough hands? If there's still some left when I'm done weather, we'll be happy with that. Thank you, Judy. All right, let's take a look at the satellite where we're pretty good shape. Northern Maine does have a few clouds, but I'll tell you here in Bangor, I'd call it partly cloudy at worst, about 50-50 cloud cover going on. Temperatures never really got that warm today. You know, most of us ended up in the upper 60s to low 70s. Right now, 71 in Portland, 70 in Bangor. In the 60s still in the mountains, and we are setting up for a very cool evening tonight. Here's the hour-by-hour forecast. Not a whole lot to show you because really the next 2 days are very similar to the last two. We start with a lot of sunshine, we end up with a few clouds in the afternoon, and a very isolated sprinkle possible in the higher terrain both days, Saturday and Sunday, but I think most of us, 95% of the state, ends up dry all the way through, and we do the same thing again on Monday. No real rain in the forecast. This is the GFS rain all the way through next week, and I will tell you, the only real precipitation is late in the week. Harvey, the big story across the country right now, unfortunately, it is now a Category 3 hurricane. Look at the eye on that thing. It's expanded. It has convection around the eye wall. It went through a couple of eye wall replacement cycles, which is a bad sign for Texas. It typically means a storm is relatively rapidly strengthening. The winds at a Cat 3 gusting to 155 miles an hour are definitely a problem, but I think the story with Harvey is going to be the rain. Rainfall projections from both major computer models put 20 to 30 plus inches of rain down from Corpus Christi down into Galveston, up into Houston as well, and in some areas in excess of 35 inches, which is going to be obviously a catastrophic flooding event for Texas. Meanwhile, much more mundane here tonight. Temperatures in the 40s in a lot of spots, right around 40 in Berlin. Wouldn't shock me to wake up to a 39 there, depending on exactly what the clouds do. But that will be a theme over the weekend. We'll call it crisp in the morning, and then during the daytime we'll get to between 70 and 74 degrees. You know, chances are, guys, as we look forward in time, that we won't just slide into fall like this. We typically have some hot days in September. But until then, enjoy it. And we'll watch, by the way, late next week, there is the possibility a tropical system will get close to the eastern seaboard. So we got a lot going on in the tropics. It's been a long time. 2005 was the last time a major hurricane hit the United States, and going on right now in Texas.
Yeah, we'll certainly keep an eye on Houston too, and hoping the best for those guys. Yep. Yeah. So, all right, good. Thank you, sir. All right, let's go back inside now. Cindy Williams standing by with a look at what's coming up at 5:30.
Hi guys, coming up, he was called Lewiston's greatest hero. This weekend his classmates are honoring him as well as all of the other veterans from the Vietnam War. This is the 50th high school reunion that is brought together some of the best of us. And a leaked audio recording of Congressman Bruce Poliquin is making the rounds. Hear what he has to say about dodging the media and about his fellow Republicans. Those stories and much more coming up on News Center at 5:30. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Cindy. Okay, we've got music, we've got food, we've got, what else do we have? Drinks. There are 2 beer tents over there.
Where's that?
So you know,
oh, that's where you were all afternoon.
They haven't been delivered yet.
That makes sense. Okay.
We'll get to that then.
So why not just bring the party here? That's what a lot of people are actually going to do, including one very special couple. Zach Blanchard with more on that. Zach, are we going to have wedding bells sometime this weekend?
I think we are. Actually, tomorrow I met with one couple that they love this festival so much, all of those things you said, all of the diversity, the sense of community. So I got to sit down with them today, and Julia Muncie and John Doherty are actually making this the venue for their wedding reception. The couple who both have deep ties to the festival, they worked as volunteers, they've worked for companies that have been sponsors. They say it is everything they love all in one place. So it just made sense to bring their wedding party here. They're set to get married in a nearby church tomorrow, then their entire wedding party and all their guests will take over the festival.
We were planning on getting married and said what better weekend to get married than the American Folk Festival. Everybody's going to be here and we'll enjoy the festival and celebrate.
The easy word to use, clean word, is love. It brings love out of people, and we love the community and we love people.
And it's that love of community and the love of this festival. So they've been here basically since the very beginning, and that's what it's all about for them. They even have some VIP set up. They have their own tent for the reception, closely located to the beer tent and the music, which just makes sense. Lee and Amanda.
Of course. Location is everything.
Absolutely.
Right. Thanks, Zach.
All right, when we come back, we'll be joined live by an international gospel singer. She is fantastic. You don't want to miss it. News Center now, live from the Folk Festival when we return.
That's right. The high school football season starts in 1 week, and the 5th quarter will be back for its 25th season. And this year, we're letting you pick our game of the week. Just go to pulse.newcentermaine.com at any time on Monday and vote for one of 3 games. We'll announce the winner on Tuesday and send a reporter to both schools for a special preview of the game. Tune into the 5th quarter on Friday night at 11 to see the results, plus highlights from games all over the state. We're putting the control in the hands of fans, so get online and let your voice be heard.
Welcome back to the Bangor Waterfront, the American Folk Festival happening this weekend. We have already met so many talented performers.
Yeah, including our next very special guest. I had to write all these accolades down. She's a singer, a songwriter, a pianist, an ordained minister, makes pizza, lobster roll. Is there anything that you don't do?
I don't
This is Cora Harvey Armstrong.
Hey,
She's all the way from the state of Virginia.
Yes.
Never been in Maine before. No. So happy to have you here.
Thank you. It's my joy to be here.
I mean, you have done so much with music, and you've been singing and playing the piano since you were 5. Is that right?
Yes,
5 years old?
Yes. I started taking lessons at 5. I couldn't read music back then, but I could play the C scale like nobody's business.
Oh, wow.
My kids are underachieving.
That's impressive. It sounds like it was kind of a family affair for you.
Yes. Our parents were singers, and there's 3 daughters, and we used to sing with our mother. And after the Lord took her, we just continued singing together. Now I've got 2 nieces singing with me in addition to my sisters.
Wow.
And you write a lot of your own songs. Where do you get that inspiration
from? The Lord gives it to me through His Holy Spirit and through His Word, because a lot of my songs come straight from the Scriptures.
What made you come to the American Folk Festival?
We were invited. A friend of mine who heard me sing in Port Townsend, Washington, told somebody here about me. And bless God, they opened up a door for me to come.
Well, we have been hearing about your voice, and now we want to hear your voice. So if you don't mind, if you could sing us out of the show. News Center at 5:30 is coming up next, but Cora is going to take us out of here. So
I sing because I'm happy, and I sing because I am free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches over me. Yes, I sing because I'm so happy, and I sing because